Welcome back. Today we're really fortunate to take out this Axopar 29 suntop. A brand new for the Netherlands, a brand new boat I should say. This actually is the very first one in the Netherlands. It's going to Belgium. The owner is soon taking delivery of it and we're very fortunate to be able to use it to make this walkthrough. I have owned two Axopar 28s myself, so I'm actually really pleased to take this 29 out on the water and again getting to experience the changed way of driving a 28/29. Axopar has changed the hull considerably, especially aiming at making this boat more fuel efficient with a slightly higher top speed. Fuel consumption has been reduced by up to 30%, Axopar says. I'm not far enough yet to actually confirm that, but I do see, looking at the data when I drive one, that they are actually more fuel efficient. And not only that, the boom has has changed a bit in the bow area, so that there's more volume in the bow area, which means that you don't only have more room sitting around in this great lounge slash sitting area, but also when going into rough seas with the increased volume, it's just a nicer boat to drive with added flare in the bow, more volume again, but still keeping the hull under the waterline in this really sharp bow shape, which means that it's still cutting through the waves, which everybody loves with any Axopar. And before I start off at the bow, please know that I am 1.92 m and look at me moving around the boat, because I actually do know from experience that the ergonomics have improved also, and especially for taller people like myself, that is quite an improvement. The 28, by the way, still is a really nice boat. I still love it. Some things have changed. The multi-cabin, for example, has been added. Some people actually prefer having the separate toilet, which is used on the 28, but still there's many things that have changed. And well, judge for yourself if it is an improvement or not. This bow area, again, has widened. There's more volume, with the advantage also that the anchor locker has increased. The space has actually increased. And if you order an anchor winch now, that is actually placed here, which means that you still have a possibility to access this area, which is quite roomy underneath, to store fenders, lines, which you use these for. So I do think this has improved. And also it's the details that count, which you don't immediately see. And what I'm talking about by saying this is having these gunnels so that the water doesn't drain in. And the bottom sides now also have been made in a way that they are fully gel coated, not a painted top coat, which other brands tend to use, and Axopar has done in the past also. A good stainless steel gas strut. So again, it's the details that count. If you don't use these cushions, there's non-skid in different areas. Still, if you use this as a step-on, for example here, if you enter the boat from the bow, this is really comfortable. You can still grab onto these bow railings. And a nice small detail is that Axopar used this cup holder also to have this locker right here to lock the bow locker. There's another cup holder here. Cushions. This actually is the silver guard upholstery. There's different upholsteries possible for 2025. There's this Line-Tex color in Line-Tex material in two different colors. There's still silver guard, silver tex I should say, material that is used, and the Mediterrane. My personal favorite, I own a 37 in the Mediterrane version and I love it. But this, of course, it's a matter of taste. This, I think, also is really nice, especially with the stitching, the double stitching here on the edges, which also, it doesn't only look good, but this also means that in 20 years' time, these cushions will probably still be quite good because this takes care of these edges not damaging that easily. Stainless steel cleats, 316 quality with the Axopar logo engraved. You can have the boat in a Brabus line setup, with which you have the railings and the cleats and the roof racks and the ski pylon powder coated in black. The owner of this boat didn't choose the Brabus line. Also, that is a matter of taste. There's a slight, the Brabus line is slightly vulnerable. If you have like salt on your hands and you do like this with the Brabus line powder coated railings, they might damage. That might be a reason to order it without the Brabus line setup. Backrests right here, I didn't initially like them, but I must say I don't know why exactly, but it seems that Axopar has changed them slightly because they seem to stay in place and they just feel more comfortable than the boat I tested in Finland, one of the prototypes. So I think these have improved. The Mediterranean ones are actually higher. They have a higher backrest, which makes them, I think, look good and also a bit more comfortable, but also that is a matter of taste. You have, of course, this table which lowers so that you can make this into a full sunbed. And another detail, I don't know if the cameraman can show it on the camera, but these pedal openings, I would call them, are just much simpler to use than the ones that were used previously, where you used to have the opening underneath here. So this again opens up really nicely. You see different things that are used inside here. This is the shore power cable, and this is the overboard pump, which is used for emergency situations. What else? Well, there's of course plenty of storage underneath here. This also opens up. You have the lower pieces of the table right here. They store in here, and if you don't use these, they store right there. Also again, stainless steel gas strut. And on this side also, this opens. This actually is a piece which you order as an option. I think basically everybody will do that. The 29s we sold so far all have this piece right here, which make this into a full U-shape. Just as a background, Axopar was looking at increasing the volume here, and they actually used the setup of the aft of an Axopar 22, and they actually projected it onto the bow of the 28 and figured out how that would work by creating something like this. And this is the end result, which I think is a well done job. So lots of room here. Not only that, it's very practical because, as I just showed you, this is a nice place to sit with long seat bases, what I always like, that makes it more comfortable. The same applies here, long seat bases. This is less high. People might say that this could have been higher, but then again, a boat is always a compromise somewhere. If you would make this higher, this would probably block the view of the people steering the boat and the passenger being next to the captain. So this, I think, is properly done. Not only that, you can lower the table and make this into a sun lounge again, but you can also lower it and take it back so that you have a sun lounge in this way by putting your feet up right here. So a really nice setup with cup holders also on both sides. This could hold at least 2 people, maybe 3 kids. So a great setup. Of course, there's covers for the cushions also. You can take them off if you'd like to. Some people might do that in the early spring or late in the season. What else should I mention about this bow area? Let's just go into the multi-cabin, which is right here. And something I really like about this is that you don't have to order the aft cabin anymore if you want to sleep over. This actually is not even quite, a really good cabin, I would even call it. Because again, I'm 1.92 meters. if you order this setup as a standard, I think underneath here there's non-skid. You can have different material underneath here, if I'm correct. But I think most people will order the upgrade with the cushions and everything right here. And of course you can, as an option, order the toilet. This can go like this, so you can use it as a day toilet also. I think this is a great solution. Of course, it's again also a compromise, but it's a really good compromise, and this is really thought through a small wash basin where you can rinse your hands. So a really nice solution. But not only that, it is a sleeping cabin, and quite a good one. I am 1,92 m. If I fold this down and do like this, take up my feet, these two holes are used to drop your shoes, for example, or if you sleep here and you have your stuff underneath, you can, without folding this up, you can just grab underneath and take out the things you need. But also, if you fold these cushions down, there's still enough place to lie down. Again, I'm 1,92 m, and it's actually just long enough for me to lie down straight. So in the middle, it is 1,92 m-ish, but I think it's wide enough to lie with 2 people here, maybe even 3 kids. So a great cabin. There's lights in here, sorry, I have to fold this down. There's ventilation. There's a bit of daylight with these two. There's access to fuses right here. So again, a great setup. And if you order this upgrade with the cushions and everything, you also have this staircase, a small one, which is really practical, but it also looks good. These are the cushions which are used on the table in the bow area. So again, a great multi-cabin. Let's go further aft. And again, check the ergonomics also, because if I walk back, this just feels more roomy than it was on the 28. This has changed. It is aesthetically different. I personally think nicer. You may see that this goes like this a bit, and this opens up. It just feels like there's plenty of room to walk here. Of course, I'm not the biggest person, but still this feels really nice. Still, if you're out boating in heavy conditions, there's always places where you can hang on to or lean against so that you don't fall overboard. And also these and the hull sides have raised so that they are actually quite high, and again you don't fall overboard that easily. And again, in some places you see that this becomes a bit wider here, and that is to give you proper access to the cockpit area, but also to use this as a step-on going on the dock or entering the boat, vice versa. So again, really good ergonomics. You can grab onto this ledge here in the inverted roof, how Axopar calls it. There's a way to grab on the window frame right here. There's an option, by the way, also to use a full canopy around the cockpit area so that you can have shelter in early spring, for example, when you have a chilly wind. The water actually now is close to 6 degrees centigrade, which can be quite cold if there's a bit of wind. So you close off one side and you sit in the sunshine on the other side. Or if you sleep over, you may use it to store things or sit during chilly evenings. So that is something that is also possible. I think the owner of this boat didn't choose it, but still it is a good option. And here we are at the helm. Also here really good ergonomics. I just love this setup still with this footrest right here. If I fold this down, now the seat is actually in my position, but it can slide forward enough depending on how you use it. If you use it as a leaning sofa like this, I would then slide it more forward. But if I sit down here, this is just made in the right way, which proves that Axopar has lots of experience in the meantime, and they make boats in a really thought through way so that this footrest is angled in just the right way. The throttle is here right at the right spot, and also here bow thruster is here, the trim tabs are here. Ergonomically this just feels really good. You can still tilt or lower this steering wheel, and again you can use it like this also by leaning back. This is just a very comfortable way. If I stand like this, for me being 1.92 m, I just look underneath the window frame here, but we're lying still. Of course, if you drive the boat, it leans backward just slightly and it gets even better. And also if I sit down, I lower myself and I have full visibility. There's lots of ways to look around. Only these are blocking your view in just a small area, and of course these also, these. But it's just, it feels like you have plenty of space to look around you. One thing that I do need to get used to is this longer roof, but in climates where you do want protection from the sun, I'm sure lots of people will appreciate this longer roof, which actually shelters you from the sun, but of course it also helps when you get a shower or something with a bit of rain. It will protect you from the elements, so a really nice solution. I also really like having a suntop now, which basically Axopar used by looking at the Axopar 37 suntop. Previously with the 28 we had a T-top, which was always closed, and especially in the Netherlands we love getting the sun out, feeling it on our shoulders. So we didn't sell a lot of T-tops. I do think that is going to change now with this option. You may notice that this is the manual one, which I think is also really good. As you can see, it opens relatively simply like this. Really good, folds all the way back. So you have a really large opening letting the sun come in. So again, a great cockpit with the possibility to let the sun come in. A really big table. I've been told that this actually was used from the Axopar 45. As you can see here, this is huge, very practical if you want to sit here with a group of friends or your family and want to have a great lunch. This just feels right. Also here, backrests are made high enough so that you just feel comfortable. Seat bases are long enough. There's cup holders here, and also on the other side, of course. There's two here in this backrest. But not only that, there's lots of ways to convert this area into different ways of usage, I should say. With this U sofa setup, driving in that direction or being at anchor, you're sheltered from this window frame right here. Of course, you can turn this table. Really, well, let me look if they're in the right, yep, like this. This I think is really nice if you have, again, a group of friends. You sit here and you can sit here with a huge group of friends, but not only that, you may notice that this backrest right here actually can be turned around. Again, this is also different use. I'm not only showing this just to show you this position. This actually is great when you're at anchor in the evening, looking over the water at the rear side. But this can also be taken, if you notice these two holes there, if you have the filler piece on here with the table in the lowered position. You could move this forward while facing in the same direction, or even turn it around so that you have that backrest like this, so that while you're driving, imagine going to a nice restaurant, gets later than you think, and you head back and the wind has increased, it's become a bit chilly, then your passengers could actually sit here also being protected from this window. So lots of different uses possible here in the cockpit area. I love them. This is just really good thinking by Axopar. I should really turn this again. Sorry about that. course, you still have the sink underneath here, and right here you have a really deep cooler. Let me put my arm in so you can actually see how deep it is. This will hold quite a bit. Bottles, no problem. It's actually this deep. So really deep, so plenty of space here. It's insulated right here. But not only that is a solution to bring your drinks and keep them cool. There's also a wet bar option, which is not installed on this boat, but here on the port side you can have either even further cooling space right here on this side with an added small sink on this side. I think I made a video on that during the Cannes boat show last September. I think that is a great solution. With the 28 you actually basically needed these two storage areas for your fenders, because you couldn't put 4 fenders in just one storage area on the back. Now you can. So if you sacrifice this for the wet bar option, you can store your fenders and your lines on the starboard side. So there's enough space. And also here you have this simple way of opening it, just like this. People having experience with boating know how important such a small detail can be. Non-skid now right here. This boat has been equipped with the outside shower, which I think a lot of people will appreciate on the suntop, being a boat which is probably going to be used for anchoring, swimming, wakeboarding, etc., etc. So a really nice solution. Again, you have the same storage area on the other side, really big. We put the fire extinguisher right in the back. And of course, it's also done in a way that so that the water doesn't drain in. It's just small details that, again, count. There's storage underneath here, but before I show you that, there's further storage. Let me see if I can access it from this side. I should really take this out. I'll show you later, because there's storage underneath here, and there's storage on both sides underneath these seats with proper hinges, done in a proper way. You see that I have my coat and all the covers right in here, but let me also show you the other side so that you see how big it is. Right here you have short supports for the table, and also the longer ones can be stored right here. So plenty of space. There's space underneath the table even. So plenty of space there. And let me also open up this hatch in the aft cockpit. You see further covers, but the good thing about this also is that it's really long. It actually goes on, I don't know, maybe 2 meters or so. So you can bring your water skis, even wakeboards, maybe an inflatable paddleboard. If you slightly deflate it, fold it, you can probably even get that in. So a really nice big storage area that will be appreciated by a lot of people. Talking about space, you may have noticed that this boat has the single setup. This being the V10 in a 400 horsepower version. Great engine, love it. There's advantages, of course, to having a single setup versus a twin setup. But now that we have it here, I can show you this piece, which is added if you have the single setup versus having a twin setup. Then you need to sacrifice this piece on both sides. So now you have more room, being able to get in and out of the water easily. This owner also ordered the additional bathing ladder right here with the 2 handles. Really good if you have people which are maybe less active and need, well, a proper way to get in and out of the water. There's a standard ladder underneath the bathing platform on the other side. That already is really good. Let me try and show you quickly. Here it is. Right here, 4 steps, a really good one. I also like the ergonomics here. Oh, sorry. Because if you want to get out of the water here, you have this grab rail to hang on to, and you can also use this as a grab on. So this is a nice way to get in and out of the water, but again, there's an added possibility by using the other one on that side, which is an option. In the past, I wasn't all too thrilled about that one because it could also block a person wanting to step on and off the boat from a lower pontoon, such as we can see here. But now with this increased width here in the swimming platform, you could actually step over it like this because you have the added space right here. So if you have the single setup, this might be a recommendation. Let me think of anything I forgot. The mast is something I should mention something about, especially for the Netherlands, because with the mast off, the boat actually is low enough. It will be under 2.5 meters, which is an important bridge height in the Netherlands, at least in our area. So we many times change this mast by making it possible to actually take it off completely. People usually don't tend to order the radar and not even the searchlight. This being aluminium, it's relatively light, so we found a way to release this quickly, take it down, go under the bridge, and then put it back up again. But as a standard, there's hinges here, so you can lower it. You may see this support right here where it folds into. That actually also is a good solution. Let me step down in the meantime. Is a good solution, but again, if you need to go under a certain bridge, I would recommend making that modification at Kempers Watersport. I think we've covered 80% or so, so let's take her out for a spin and see how she handles. And here we are. We're actually doing 4.6 knots, which is displacement speed, a speed which a lot of people will be using in the Netherlands. And already now I noticed that we're doing approximately 1.15 kilometers per liter, which is more fuel efficient than the 28 was. This being the V10 400, you may have slightly increased fuel economy by using the single V8. But I love having this V10. I have a 37 of twin V10 350s. There's a lot of torque, but already the V8s have plenty of torque. So a V8 300 would already be sufficient for any 29. But this just, it feels really nice and comfortable. For us, we're really used to this, but just letting go of the wheel and having a boat which just carries on perfectly straight, for us is normal, but it actually isn't with all boats. So I'd like to point that out. It's just a nice way of boating. Also the way it's really quiet and it's really smooth. You don't feel any vibration. The noise level is really nice. Of course, a lot of people won't be doing this speed for longer times. But even if you start to increase the speed, of course, you start to hear the engine, like you do now, and you hear the water. But still, it's a really smooth and nicely handling boat. Ergonomics we've already talked about. This boat has the single Simra 12-inch display. I still need to get used to the new NS6 functionality, but I do like this. I've just been playing around with it a bit, and there's many things you can adjust. We don't have the SD card of this area fitted in yet, so you don't see all the details. You do see that this boat has VHF, and you see all the AIS signals of boats in the area. So that also is added safety, I would even say. So again, I love this 12-inch Simrad screen. You can have a twin setup. I think you can even have this 15-inch ultra-wide display. So there's different possibilities here. If you would want something else, we as Kempers Watersport could obviously also install another brand or some other solution. Again, this boat has been fitted with a VHF, and of course the trim tabs I always recommend using or ordering these. You don't use them very often, but they're really nice to have. Bow thruster, I would say, is a must. Wiper, there's different modes on the wiper. There's lots of storage places also now in this area, with room here, underneath here, also on the other side. Underneath here is a small pocket, and here there's plenty of space. I think there's USB ports on this side, at least I feel one here. I'm not sure whether there's one here. Nope. No, there's USB here, and if you would want to have additional USB ports, we can install them. There's audio controls right here, cup holders on both sides. So yeah, really nice layout. But let's increase the speed. We're doing 6.5 knots in the meantime. Let's pick up some speed and take her up the plane. I'm doing this really gently because of the cameraman, but you just feel that it has plenty of power, plenty of torque, so it's really simple to take her up the plane. We're already doing 27 knots now, and doing even 1.1 kilometers per liter. I'm actually surprised that this is the same fuel economy as you have when you're driving slow. So I would say it's really good. It is better than on the 28, and I know that from experience. Right here, Eco GPS. By the way, the fuel level is around 80%. We have around 300 liters of fuel with us. The water tank probably still is empty, and the boat is still empty. It's new. There's nothing stored in it yet, but just really nice to have this fuel economy. And also really, of course, we have basically zero wind now. I've been driving the 28 in different conditions now, using the prototype in Finland out on the ocean in quite rough conditions, and it handles like a dream. It's even drier than the 28 was, and it just feels really nice, yet very nimble also. It's a play boat. That would even improve if you were to install the twin 200 engines from Mercury. I have owned the 28 with twin 200s and one with a single 400 L6. But I also love this setup. Let's see what the top speed is. Active trim is on. 38 knots. Trim tabs are down a bit. Let me pull them up. 42. 43. See if I can override the active trim bit. (44, 45 knots approximately. Even more. Close to 46 knots. 46.5, I just saw. Really, really nice. We have some waves here from another boat. Let me do some really tight turns. Take the trim down a bit. Doesn't catch any air. Of course, going through our own waves, we do catch some air. It's fun. Some relatively high waves here. No problem whatsoever. Love it. So, let me take her into the marina again. But before we do that, I'd like to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. We have some 29s and 37s coming, which will soon be delivered. I hope we will be having one with Mediterrana. Actually, I do think we're getting one for a customer in June. I hope to be making a video on that also, but for now, again, thank you for watching. If you do have any questions, leave them below this video as usual. But thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in our next videos. Have a great day.